come to Egypt.
Every culture has its myth, carved into stone, painted onto walls, immortalized in text and scripture, heavy on every tongue and whispered across centuries. In like manner, every one of us is telling a story about who we are, even when we don't realize it. We carve ours into timelines, journals, and conversations. We do it with the words we speak, the pictures we take, the way we dress. We do it in the mask we put on, the one that presents us to the world as the victim, the strong one, the doormat, the beautiful, the brave, and the bold. And even though we don't often start claiming titles for ourselves, we may first adopt them by circumstance. However, repeat it long enough and the title sticks. The identity remains and the mythology of who we are spreads. But how did myth come to be in the first place? To explain the inexplicable, to mark the unknown, we spread the story of being, of desire, need, and connection through word of mouth, work of hands, shaping history and culture, and most importantly, through belief. The sun rises because the Egyptian god Ra pulls it across the sky. Khosin, god of the moon, controls the passage of time, and we are what we say we are, what we proclaim, confess, and believe. I'm guarded due to my past childhood experiences. I'm an overthinker. Because of some cosmic flaw, I'm wounded by how deeply I feel everything. These are my own Ra, my own Anubis. The guarded, the overthinker, the empath, all names for forces I can't see but feel shifting inside me. Through deliberate or accidental means, I've introduced myself as each, gone into the world with my myth strapped to my chest. Some people have only met the presence of the overthinker, the one who anticipates danger before it comes, the one who jumps the gun, the one who sees patterns in everything. Some people have only met the guarded version of me, the one with the wall so high up, afraid to be found vulnerable and without shield. And they too have spread the word of who I am. The impression travels. As we make deities of ourselves, dressed finely in the cloak of self-love, wrapped in the fabric of radical acceptance, we must remember what is truly real and what we made ourselves become for the plot, the fable, and the folklore. This self-mythology can be powerful. It places us in a position where we feel we have complete authorship over our own existence. When we turn our lives into myths, like the gods we create, we require ourselves to become an emblem of humanity, thereby stripping ourselves of said humanity. We turn ourselves into symbols, icons, brands, and ideals. We commit the same act we once projected onto deities, where we trade vulnerability for immortality. We become understandable, flawless, easy to identify, but no longer alive. We become just concepts. If we only tell one story about ourselves, only extend one version of ourselves, where we are the beautiful one, the victim, the brave, we'll start living in a prison of our own making, that eventually evolves to a point where we're no longer holding the key, free to walk out at any time. At the end of the day, we must remember that myths are just stories, flexible, evolving, open to translation. God can die, deities fade away, and people abandon belief. So what will you say you are when culture shifts and people move on? Those who called you by the name you chose, addressed you by your preferred title. What will happen when they no longer pour libations at your feet, no longer hang on to your every word? When each one chooses to honor themselves instead, when you lose your willing audience, the ones whose validations you've now grown to seek, is that where your story dies? It is fine if you forever want to play the hands that you've been dealt, the villain who never gets to be the hero. It is fine if you're only comfortable playing the part of the court jester and not the king. But if and when you're ready to be more, put down the armor of embellished tale, inflated sense of self, and the cushion of self-imposed doctrine, and finally, truly, search for something bigger than you. Something beyond myths and epics and folk tales. Find better, stronger roots outside the sphere of public worship and constant performance. Instead, get to know yourself in wholeness. Here, surrounded by the relics of someone else's story, I start to see my own with a bit more distance. The labels I wear aren't sacred texts. I am not immovable, unreachable, or unchangeable. I'm existing in ways gods and deities never could, with a life beyond my control. One where I am both spectator and witness. It rains and it pours, seasons change, and unasked permission of me, I cannot bend the tides to my will, or hide the sun when I require shade. I'm simply here to witness a true God at work. Every culture built monuments to its gods, statues and wonders so high we could only marvel. And as we know, monuments crumble. And what's left matters, not what once was. Monuments are the choices we make, how we show up in the world, the people we surround ourselves with, and the way we tell our story. These are the only ways we can be remembered in honest memory. To live humbly and unadulterated by false protections and empty personas. So the only altar we would ever need to come before is the one laid in the unshakable belief in God. Everything else is sand in a desert storm.